It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on Saturday, March the 14th, 2020. The end of a quite busy and tumultuous week in the cruise and travel space. And a pretty wicked week personally for me as well. Anyway, if you're new to this channel, welcome aboard. This is a regularly scheduled broadcast for Travel and Cruise Industry News, which is held at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings. We normally talk about cruises, travel, and anything related. And we try to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of calls, cruises themselves, my interview shows, which are called Chillie Chats, and of course, this news show. A couple things that we're going to be changing, folks, before I get into the news for the day. Due to the whole issue around basically the industry being shut down for a minimum of the next 30 days. Which we're going to talk about. I'm going to suspend our Chillie's Cruises deal of the day. As most of you know, there's quite often those are short-term, quick turnarounds, last-minute deals. And basically, there's no sense in doing that in the next 30 days at least. And we'll see when things get back on even keel and get back to business as normal, whether or not we can continue with that program or not. In the meantime, I am going to be diligently working on the website. I've got to remove all the cruise dates for this next 30 days for most of the cruise ships, cruise lines, most of the cruises. Some go further than that. And then, of course, you got the Canadian issue, which has everything shut down and cruise ships going to Canada till the July the 1st. So all that's still up in the air. I'm going to try as best I can. Of course, I'm a one-man operation, folks, to get the website updated as quickly as possible. I've been working on it this morning. I will continue working on it for the next several days. I've got some, 500-600 cruises on the website, and virtually all of those have to be changed in one way or another. So anyway, getting to the news of the day, and of course, it has to deal with cruise ships. For the next 30 days, everything is shut down from at least in this country. Now, some of it was at the request of the president. Some of it was the cruise lines voluntarily suspending operation for a minimum of 30 days, and a combination of both. The information, United States President Donald Trump said that essentially the U.S. cruise industry would shut down for 30 days at his request, which this came out in a post on Twitter, and quoting the president, "At my request, effective midnight last night, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, and MSC have all agreed to suspend outbound cruises for 30 days. Speaking about the industry, it's a great and important industry, and it will be kept that way," Trump said in one of his tweets. Now, that news came a day after many of the cruise lines began suspending operation on their own. Most of you are familiar with the situation with Princess. Of course, that was the first to go. A number of other cruise lines started following suit. I don't know if this was part of the earlier meeting that he requested this, and they were just getting to the time to start doing it, or whether this was all and a result of everything basically shutting down and all the schedules changes as the COVID-19 situation in this country's gotten worse and worse. I don't know which came first. I don't know if this was the cruise lines voluntarily doing it, or if this was at the request of the White House, and who knows which is first. The thing that, of course, affected me the most was Canada. And if you saw my special broadcast yesterday, the Canadian government basically, excuse my throat this morning, folks. The Canadian government has banned all cruises until January 1st, which that is going to affect my situation with, of course, going to Alaska. Now, we do not have any further information as to whether or not the Alaska sailing season is going to be shut down. We do know that cruise ships cannot go into Vancouver, which is one of the main ports for Alaska, until July the 1st. I do know that Seattle has canceled the first 2 calls out of Seattle, which would be going to Alaska. There's not been any further information yet of Seattle shutting down. However, to a certain degree, you got to look at the cards on the wall, folks. Seattle is the hardest hit area in our country so far. Don't be surprised if they, in fact, hold off on cruise ships as well shortly. But that hasn't been done. So as far as the schedules go, once we get past this 30-day situation, which gets us into April, it's a possibility that half of the Alaska sailing season will be saved. Just the Vancouver part, we know, will not be. So that's where that stands. And then who knows, is this 30 days, is that going to be it? We don't know at this point. Who knows what the COVID-19 situation is going to be, say, 20 days from now, when they would have times to get things up and running in the next 10 days, or when the 30-day period's over with. Who knows? If the situation is ongoing, I could see that 30-day thing being expanded, going further and further. Some of the other cruise lines, like Princess, is already, Princess date is in May. They're shut down until May the 10th. So all the rest of them are in April of the majors. Now that would be Holland America, of course, Carnival owns most of them, but Holland American, Carnival, MSC is April 30th, Royal Caribbean April 14th, Celebrity April 14th, Norwegian April 11th, and of course Princess. Of course, they're the ones that had the hardest hit of all because of the quarantine situations on 2 of their ships. So who knows? Is 30 days we can get back to normal? I'd love to be able to tell you that's going to happen, folks, but I can't. No idea. So, all right, pause for a break. I'll be back in just a second. Do you have a bad back, bad hips, bad knees, or any other mobility issues? Think about Scootaround. For scooters, walkers, wheelchairs, even oxygen needs, delivered right to your cabin. Scootaround for all your mobility needs on your upcoming cruise. All right, back at it. Who knows what's going to happen, guys? I know I've trying to get all my flights canceled, and they don't want to talk to you unless you're within 7 days of your flights. So it's, it's a pain in the butt. All it is. So Anyway, I'm not going to Alaska, in May as was scheduled because of Canada shutting it down in Vancouver. So we'll see in the next few days, folks, what's going to happen with Seattle and the sailing season. I quit touching your face, Chillie. And a lot of people were affected by this. Goodness gracious. So a lot of people were scheduled to go on cruises this month, and then they're done. And who knows if this was the cruise lines or the administration or a combination of both. I can't tell you that. But we'll just have to play this one out. All right, back to what I'm going to be doing here. We're not going to do any deal of the days for the time being. I am going to continue with the live broadcast for travel and cruise industry news, although, once we get a little further into this cancellation period, if you want to call it that, there's not going to be a whole lot of news in the cruise and travel space because nobody's doing anything to make any news. So we'll just try to stay on top of the situation as best we can and report that to you. And it might be that we do a show that I come on and say, hey, how is everybody? And that's it for the day. And we'll see you next time. If that happens, that happens. But we are going to continue on with the travel and cruise industry news at 11 o'clock, 3 days a week. But we are going to suspend the deal of the day. And I'll be working on the website trying to get everything's updated and changed as we go along. So that's it for the day. You guys have a great weekend. If you were like me and you got canceled out of cruises this month, I feel sorry for you folks. I really do. It's a bad situation that all of us are in. So we'll just have to see what's going to happen. So that's it for today, guys. We'll see you next time. Later, y'all.
Thank you for watching today's Travel and Cruise Industry News. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.